Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Daysi DIY. Today I'm gonna share with you guys an easy and beautiful home decor. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. For our first project, I'm going to be reusing this picture frame that I had on hand, and I had it for a really long time. So the first thing with my pliers, I'm just going to remove all the staples that they were holding this beautiful image. And once I was done, I'm just going to reuse the back of the image to do this chiplet look. And also, I'm just going to remove the hanger, and I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to reuse it back again so we can hang this beautiful sign. And I'm gonna put to aside the glass. I'm not gonna reuse it this time. And to paint the frame, I'm just using the Rust-Oleum paint on color white. I just did one coat and I just let it dry completely. And I'm so sorry, I really don't know what happened with the part where I was filming this part where I was painting the frame, but I'm pretty sure you guys can have an idea how I painted. It was really simple and easy. I just did one coat and I just let it dry completely. And once it was dry, I just went over with a piece of sandpaper just to sand it a little bit, and it turned out really beautiful. You guys can see the color black under. It came out really beautiful. And once I was done, I'm just gonna be painting the back of the beautiful image, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. And you guys can see I didn't want to paint it all the way because I want the cardboard to show a little bit. I'm gonna be using this ruler and I just gonna be marking every 3 inches, and I just gonna mark my lines. And once I'm done, I'm gonna be using this color pencil. I mark my lines twice so they can be a little bit dark. I'm gonna be using this Waverly uncolored truffle, and I just put a little bit of the paint with a little bit of the water, and I just grab my brush just to distress the lines a little bit more. So I just went first with a little bit of the paint, and I just grab a paper towel and I just kind of like remove a little bit of the paint and kind of like distress it at the same time. And the other thing that I decided to do, I'm like, once I was done, let me use this Waverly paint on color mineral, and I just went in a few parts so they can be a little bit more distressed, and it turned out beautiful once I used this paint. We're gonna be using these stencils that I got at Amazon, and I saw the same stencils at Walmart. I'm gonna be using this beautiful stencil, and I just grabbed a few pieces of the painter's tape so I can hold the stencil. And the paint that I'm using is this Craftwise chalkboard paint on color ink. I just did one coat, and once I was done, I just removed the stencil. And also I grabbed this other stencil just to use this beautiful part of the leaves on the side, and I'm just using the same paint to paint it. And I'm gonna do the same step on the other side, and once it's completely dry, I decide just to distress it a little bit with the sandpaper so it can blend a little bit better, and it turned out really beautiful once I distress it. I'm gonna be reusing these hooks that I had. The first one that I'm showing you, it's from Dollar Tree, and the other one that I have is like these shower hooks, and I decided to use it as a hanger to put this beautiful wreath that we're gonna put. So first I just use the same paint, the Craft White Chalkboard paint on color ink, to paint it. I just did one coat and I just let it dry completely. And once we're done, I just put back together the frame, and I'm just gonna be gluing on the back with hot glue so it can hold very well. Also, I just gonna glue the hook in the middle. I just use hot glue, but I think it's way better to use X6000 for permanent hold. I'm gonna be reusing this wreath that I got at Dollar General, and I just removed that red berries, but I want to show you guys can use this bamboo wreath, and also you guys can use this Boxwood greenery. I got it at Walmart, and you guys can recreate the same wreath, if you guys don't find the same wreath that I have. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful design. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For the next project, I'm going to be using this beautiful wood holder that I had on hand. I had it for a really long time, so I decided to do something different so I can use it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove first this image. So once I remove the image, I'm going to be using this Restore chalkboard paint, and I'm just going to do one coat, and I'm just going to let it dry. So first, I was just painting all outside of the wood holder. But once I was done, I decided to paint inside so it can has a finished look. And here's the part where I show you that I decide to paint inside because I didn't like it how it looks. So once it's completely dried, I'm going to be using this image of the calendar that I found on Dollar Tree. So first I just place my image on the top so we can trace it at the side that I need it. So once I was done, I just used my scissors to cut it. The next thing, I'm going to be using this Mod Podge, and I'm just going to do one coat. And to put the Mod Podge, I'm just using this small brush that I got from Dollar Tree. And once I was done placing the Mod Podge, I'm just going to put my image on the top. The other thing that I decided to do another coat on Mod Podge so we can seal the image. I decided to distress the image a little bit, and for that I'm using the Restore chalkboard paint on color white. So you guys can see I'm just using a little bit of paint to distress it. You guys can distress it at the way that you guys want it. So once I was done, I decided to distress also the edges so it can look way better. And I'm just using this sandpaper that I got from Dollar Tree. And to put inside, you guys can put anything and it will look really beautiful. I'm going to be using just a few pieces of the greenery and also these beautiful flowers that I had on hand.
For the next
project, we're going to be using this wood sign that I got at Dollar Tree, and I got it this year. I'm going to remove that hanger and also the image. It was really simple and easy to remove the image. I just want to show you how easy it was to remove the image. And to paint it, we're using the Rust-Oleum paint on color white. I just love to use this color because it goes very well with my decor that I put in my house. And I just did one coat, and I didn't want to cover it all the way because I want the cardboard to show a little bit. I'm gonna create this chip look that I love to do in my projects. So I just grabbed my ruler and my pencil, and I went over twice so they can be a little bit dark, the lines. And I just grabbed a piece of paper towel, and it's a little bit wet, and it's way easy to distress the lines. Before, you guys see me that I was just distressing the lines, you know, with my finger. The other thing that I decide, I'm like, the sign is too clean for me. Let me go over a little bit with the anti-wax, and it was the touch that I need. I'm gonna be using two small wood boxes that I got at Dollar Tree, and I just removed the hanger. And once I remove the hanger, I decide to cover the holes with a little bit of the spackling, and I just let it dry for a little bit. And to paint it, we're using the anti-wax. I just wet the sponge a little bit. It's way easy to put the anti-wax, and also at the same time, we don't use that much paint, you know. And I repeat the same step with the other one. And once they're completely dry, I decide to distress it a little bit with the Rust-Oleum paint, and I didn't want to cover it all the way because I want this beautiful anti-wax to show a little bit. The next thing, we're using two painter sticks that I got at Amazon, and I just cut it to the side of the sign, and I just sanded a little bit the edges with a piece of sandpaper, and I'm using again the same anti-wax to paint it. And once they're completely dry, I just went over again with the same Rust-Oleum. I want to do the same technique that I did with the small wood boxes, and I just want to show you how they will look once you distress it a little bit with that Rust-Oleum paint. I just removed this family metal sign from this wood sign. I just used one cotton Mod Podge on the top so it can hold way better the paint. And the paint that I'm using, I got it at Home Depot. It's this color like light green or celery. It's beautiful, the color. The next thing, I'm gonna be using these beautiful stickers that I got at my Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna be distressing it a little bit with the Rust-Oleum paint. And once we're done, we're just gonna put it to a side. So first, I just grabbed the two pieces of the painter sticks, and I'm just gonna place one in the top and the other one in the bottom. And to glue them, I'm using wood glue and a little bit of the hot glue so it can hold it in place. For me, it was more easy to grab my pencil and kind of like trace a line so I can guide for those lines so it can be a little bit even, you know. And I'm gonna do the same step with the two small wood boxes, and I just put one in each side. I'm gonna grab that family mirror letter and I'm gonna place it on the middle, and I just use hot glue to glue it, but I think it's way better for permanent hold to use it 6000. Also, I grabbed the 4 pieces of the sticker and I just place one on each side, and I place it on the top of the painter stick, and I just use hot glue to glue it, but if you guys want, you guys can use it 6000. And the other thing that I decided to do, I just grab a little bit of the spackling just to cover the holes on the top of the sign, because I want to reuse this hanger that I had on hand. Or if you guys decide not to cover the holes, you guys can grab just a piece of jute twine and it will look beautiful too, to use it as a hanger. And to place inside of the small wood boxes, you guys can use anything, like any greenery, flowers. I decided to grab this lavender and I just place it, and that's the only thing that I did for this beautiful sign. I just love it how it turns out. I'm going to be using this wall sign that I had on hand. I had it for a really long time. So the first thing, I'm going to be using the Restylane chalkboard paint to paint it. Also, I'm going to remove the screws that they have here on the top. So once I was done, I decided to use this sandpaper to sand the top so it can be a little bit smooth, the part where the screw was. And to paint it, I'm just using this brush that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to do only one coat and I'm just gonna let it dry. I just want to mention, if you guys don't have this wall sign, I know you guys can find something similar to this on Dollar Tree and you guys can recreate this project. So once it was completely dry, I decided to do a second coat because it didn't cover very well the color brown. And once it's completely dry, I'm going to be using this piece of sandpaper that I got from Dollar Tree so we can start sanding all the signs so we can give this distressed look that we're looking for. I'm going to use this free printable that I found on Google. It's really beautiful. So what I did, I just cut it in half, and with my pencil, I just traced the back so we can trace a letter so we can put them in our sign. So I just placed that piece of paper on the top of the sign, and with a pen, I just gonna start tracing the words. And once I was done tracing all the words, I'm gonna remove that piece of paper so you guys can see a little bit the words. So the next thing, I'm gonna be using the Craft Wise chalkboard paint on color ink to paint it. I'm just using this small brush to paint all the letters. It did take me a little bit of time, but in the end it turned out really beautiful. I love it how it turns out. So once it was completely dry, I'm going to be using this sandpaper to sand it a little bit the letters so we can distress it so it can blend everything together. Also, I decided to use a few pieces of the greenery, and I just tied the 2 pieces together, and I'm just gonna place it right here in the bottom. And to glue it, I'm just gonna be using a little bit of hot glue to glue it. Also, I decided to create a small bow to put it in the middle. It was missing something. If you guys want, you guys can just put the greenery, but I decided to put just a small bow, and I'm just gonna be using a little bit of hot glue to glue it. For our next project, I'm gonna be using this piece of wood that I got at thrift store, and it was only 50 cents, and I decided to use this spray paint on color black to paint it. I just did one coat and I just let it dry completely. And to paint it on the top, I went over with the Rust-Oleum paint. First, I was thinking just to hang this beautiful sign, because it had this already hanger on the back, and I was just thinking to do something different, but in the end I did something else. So I removed the hanger, and once it's completely dry, I went over with a piece of sandpaper just to remove a little bit of the paint, and you guys can see a little bit of the black paint that we did under. It came out, and it turned out really beautiful. I'm gonna be using this beautiful free printable that I got from this talented friend Heidi Sonboul, and I will link it down the video so you guys can see like where she links that free printable. And I had it for a really long time. I know I have the Cricut machine to create just a simple beautiful bee, but I'm like, I have this beautiful image and I just want to use it. So, and here's the part where I decide to remove the hanger. I just did one cut on Mod Podge so we can put the bee on the top, and I just sealed the bee with another cut on Mod Podge, and I just put it to a side. I let it dry completely. The next thing, we're going to be using this braid teaser game that I got from a Dollar Tree, and I found this on the children's section, and I just cut the string in the center, and you're going to have all these beautiful wood beads, we could say that, and I'm just going to be using the brown ones, and I grabbed 4 pieces, and I'm going to be using hot glue to glue them on the back of the piece of wood. I think it's way better to use wood glue. And once I was done, I decided to distress it a little bit on the edges, and for that I'm just using the Waverly anti-wax, and I just distress it a little bit and also on the top of the image, and it turned out really beautiful. If you guys want to leave the wood beads on this color brown, you guys can leave it, and I think it will look beautiful too. I just want to show you, if you decide to paint it, how it will look. And for that, I just grabbed a little bit of the Rust-Oleum paint, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. Let me know in the comments down below, do you guys like better the first option or the second option? For the next project, I'm going to be reusing this beautiful small ladder that I had on hand, and I'm going to remove the small clay pots. It had kind of like a screw under. It was really easy to remove it. And to paint the small ladder, I'm using the Rust-Oleum paint on color white. I did first one coat and I just let it dry, and once it was dry, it needed a second coat. And I just want to mention, it's really simple and easy to create this small ladder using wood pieces from Dollar Tree, and Dollar Tree is carrying these small clay pots. I'm gonna be distressing the small clay pots, and for that I'm using this beautiful paint that I got at Home Depot. I'm just gonna be using a little bit of the paint because I didn't want to cover all the way the brown it had under. It's really beautiful. And the second one, you guys can see it needs a little bit of the paint. I'm gonna be using this free printable that I got at Pinterest, and I just cut a few pieces and I just used this Mod Podge to place it. And once I placed that image, I just did a second coat on the top to seal very well the image, and I put it to a side, and I repeat the same step with the other two small clay pots. The next thing, we're using this Waverly anti-wax to distress it a little bit the image. They were too clean for me, and also I distressed it just on a few parts, the small clay pots, and I decided to distress also the small ladder. If you guys don't love to distress your pieces, don't worry, you guys can just skip this step. And once we're done distressing this beautiful ladder, we're just gonna grab the 3 small clay pots and we're just gonna place them back on the top of the small ladder. I'm gonna be using this Spanish moss, and I decided to use a little bit of hot glue so it can hold it on place. And the next thing, we're gonna be using this beautiful greenery that I got at Dollar Tree. It's really beautiful. It was the first time that I see them, and I just cut a few pieces and I just used a little bit of hot glue, and I decided to reuse the same hanger. I was thinking to use just a piece of this plant hanger, and I couldn't find it. And once I was done filming the part, I found it, and I decided to switch it for a piece of this plant hanger, and it was the touch that I need. It turned out really adorable. I just love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this other project? For our next DIY, we're gonna be using these beautiful wood candle holders that I got at this thrift store, and it cost $2, and there were only 2 pieces. I was looking for a few more, but that was the only 2 pieces that we got, you know. I'm gonna be using this spray paint. So what I did, I just did 1 coat and I just let it dry completely. I did something wrong. I forgot to do 1 coat of this spray, like to seal, so it can hold way better the spray paint. And once I distressed it, the paint, it came out really bad, and I was so worried because I didn't like it, and I will show you in a minute once I distress it. And to paint that kind of holder, I'm using the Rust-Oleum paint on color white. I just did 1 coat and I just let it dry, and once it was completely dry, I did a second coat. I'm gonna be using this metal bottle cup, and I got it at Dollar Tree, and I'm just using the same spray paint, and I just let it dry completely. And to paint it, we're using again the Rust-Oleum paint on color white. I just did 1 coat and I just let it dry completely. I'm gonna go back again with the candle holder. I went with a piece of sandpaper just to distress it a little bit, and you guys can see the paint, it came out like right away, you know. But I just distressed it at the way that I want my candle holder, and it was really easy fix. I just went over with the Rust-Oleum paint and it just covered a little bit those big pieces where the paint, it came out completely, you know. So like I mentioned, if you guys gonna create this project, I would recommend you guys to use any clear sealing spray to seal it first. Then you guys can apply the color of your preference. Like I said, I did it wrong, and you guys see it turned out really beautiful at the end, you know, but just learn from my mistakes. And also I just went over and distressed it a little bit. This middle bottle cup, it turned out way better because the spray paint, it holds way better, you know. I'm going to be using another beautiful image of this free printable that I found on Pinterest, and I just cut one piece and I just placed it on the middle, and it was a touch didn't need. It turned out really beautiful, and I just did first one coat on Mod Podge, and I just placed the image, and I did another coat to seal it very well. And I just used a little bit of hot glue in a combination with E6000, but I think it's just way better just to use E6000, and I just put some pieces of the painter's tape so it can hold it into it dries completely, and I just removed the pieces of the painter's tape the next day. And the other thing that I regret, you know, I'm like, I didn't cover the holes where it had the hanger, but if you guys want to recreate this project, you guys can cover those holes, or once you place like a candle or greenery on the top or any decor piece that you want to place, I'm pretty sure it's not going to show those holes, you know. For the next project, I'm going to be using this wood tray that I had for a really long time, so you guys can see it's a little bit damaged, but for that I just used a little bit of wood glue, and also I just used a little bit of the spackling to cover a few parts where it needs a few repairs, and I just let it dry. And to paint it, I just used the Resilient chalk paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. The other thing that I decided to do to cover these middle parts with a few pieces of the painter's tape, because I didn't want to paint these pieces. And to distress it a little bit more, I just used that Waverly anti-wax, and I just distressed especially on the edges of the wood tray. The next thing, I just used 12 pieces of the wood craft cubes, and I just used a combination of wood glue and hot glue to glue it, the 3 pieces together. And once I glue the 3 pieces, I just glue it to the tray so we can give these legs to the tray. And I just did the same step. I used the same paint to paint it so they can blend together with the wood tray. And once it was completely dry, I just removed the pieces of the painter's tape. I'm going to be using this wall sticker that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be using this piece of the wall sticker, and I just did one cut on Mod Podge under so we can seal the sticker very well. And also I just did another coat on Mod Podge on the top, and I just let it dry. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful. I love it, and especially the colors, how they blend all together. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about the project? For our next DIY, we're going to be using this base that I had on hand, and I had it for a really long time, so I decided to do something different with this base because I really love it how it looks and all the texture that they have this base. So the first thing, I'm going to be using the Restylane chalkboard paint on color white that I got from Amazon. So you guys can see I'm not painting it all the way because I want the color that has on the bottom to show a little bit through. First I did one coat, and once it was completely dry I did a second coat, and the brush that I'm using to paint it, it's from Dollar Tree.
It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
And this is how it looks once it's completely dry, the first coat, and it's when I decide to do the second coat. And once it was completely dry, I decided to use this sandpaper that I got from Dollar Tree to distress it a little bit, especially the edges of the base.
Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell.
I'm going to use a few pieces of this greenery to put it inside. You guys can put anything and it will look really beautiful. For our next project, I'm going to be using this basket that I had on hand. I had it for a really long time. So to paint it, I'm going to be using this Restylane chalkboard paint on color white. And I'm just going to do one coat first, and I'm just going to let it dry. And once it's completely dry, I'm going to do a second coat. So you guys can see I'm not painting it all the way because I want the color brand to show a little bit. Also, I decided to paint inside of the basket and also the handle. The next thing, we're going to be using a piece of cardboard. I didn't measure anything, I just kind of eyeball it. So I just create a circle first, and once it was done, I'm just going to be using this image that I had on hand. I'm so sorry, I cannot remember from where I got it. Once again, I decided to paint the top of the cardboard, and for that I'm using the Restylane chalkboard paint on color white. So I just did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, I just paint the edges of the cardboard. So once it was completely dry, I'm going to put my image on the top. I'm going to be using this Mod Podge to put it. So I'm going to put the image on the side that we didn't paint it because I want the paint part to be on the back so it can has a finished look. And once we're done, I'm going to do another coat on Mod Podge to seal the image so it can hold very well. I'm going to use a piece of this jute twine that I had on hand, and I just measure at the side of the circle. So once it was done, I just decide to distress it a little bit, and for that I'm using the Restylane chalkboard paint on color white. So you guys can see I'm just using a little bit of paint. The next thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna glue the jute twine around the circle, and for that I'm just using hot glue to glue it. So you guys can see I just have extra jute twine. So for that, I just use my scissors to cut it, and I just reinforce it with more hot glue at the end of the jute twine, and this is how it looks once you're done. So I'm just gonna place it right here in the middle of the basket, and to glue it, I'm just gonna use hot glue. Also, I decided to create this small bow to put it right here because it seems like I was missing something. And also, to put inside of the basket, I'm just gonna put a few pieces of this grenier that I had on hand. And this is how it looks at project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? So that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every time that I upload new video. And please don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.